Hello and welcome to Shite Talk.
Hello and welcome to Shite Talk.
An Irish history podcast with two hosts.
Wait, Jason and Kevin are in the same room together. Well,
Due to the magic of transatlantic networks, it seems like we're in the same room. Like, we're right back beside each other again. How many intros have we recorded together? One?
Possibly. I think it's
Yeah.
one. It might be two. No, I couldn't tell you either as well. Because I've forgotten most of the episodes that we have actually recorded. I know that my mother messaged me the other day to say that she was listening to a Shite Talk episode. And I'd asked her, but I asked her which one it was. And she was like, I can't remember. Do you want to name some out to me? And I just completely forgot every episode from the first season.
Yeah, fair enough. What does your mother think of it? 5-star review?
She's a big fan. She said that she liked when you gave her. You said that she was a lovely woman. I think at some point, and she was incredibly happy with that. Our Anne.
Yes, yeah. Oh no, actually, I think I might have stood up for her during one of your many
tyrannical rants.
Yeah, when you just went off with per Anne over socks or something.
Yeah, well, she'd want to fucking make sure that they're as soft as possible. If I buy white socks, it's for a reason. I want to feel the cotton on my toes.
But this is so sorry we missed last week's episode due to a technical difficulty. The technical difficulty being that we just hadn't got our shit sorted. Mostly me. I was busy gallivanting around London. Jason, I think your excuse was that you had gainful employment, which is, pretty pathetic.
I did. I had a combination of gainful employment and a podcast. What's the word? What do I call you? Underling who wasn't available. What's the technical definition?
I don't know what my official title is in this company of ours.
Is it sidekick?
I've given myself viceroy, and you can be colonel of the podcast.
Chancellor.
As long as I get to be a viceroy.
I'd prefer to be a chancellor.
Alright, we'll give you that. But, dear listeners, if you could do us a favour and instead of... I know most people probably stream episodes of podcasts, because that's what I do, and I am an everyman. But if you could just, as a special favour, download this episode. Because it turns out all the metrics and stats are driven by downloads. And just for the hell of it, it'd be cool to see an approximation of how many listeners we actually have. And that seems to be the only way to do it. So
so if you're actually listening and streaming this right now, you can continue to do that, but also download it and then just play it for a few minutes so we know.
I don't even think you have to play it. I think if you just download it, that counts as one.
Kevin, if I'm asking people to play the podcast, don't tell them to not do that. Don't
listen to the podcast. Whatever you do, for God's sake, just download it. Give us the number and move on with your day.
Stream it now, and then also download it. And then once you download it, what you want to do is wait for the weekend. And whenever you're around like a pre-drinking party session, or if you just want to go to a nightclub, take some form of a microphone and then just play our podcast. That's the second round. That's how you do it again.
Everyone knows DJs love nothing more than people going up and giving them requests. The only thing they do like more than that is people going up and giving them podcast requests.
And hanging them.
That's probably the fourth reference to that song that you've made in this podcast.
Yeah, but it's because we record the podcast over the space of the year that I've forgotten.
Yeah.
We batch record and I forget that I've referenced what I have.
You just love that song.
When was the last time I mentioned "Catch Me If You Can"? Or if Carlo was the former
you haven't mentioned the Carlo thing in this season, I don't think. And we talked about "Catch Me If You Can" in the last episode, although I don't know when that was recorded. 4 months ago.
That sounds about right. But right, we've taken too long. We should tell people that you should all follow us on Instagram at Shite Talk History. You can get onto us at shitetalkhistory@gmail.com or at the Instagram page, and you'll find a link to our Buy Me a Coffee page, which is like our version of Patreon, where you can support the podcast. For some people, they're worried that they have to set up a PayPal or have a PayPal to pay. That's not a thing. You can click through and just pay regularly.
Yeah, for some reason it says PayPal when you click on it. Just ignore that. People at PayPal don't know what they're at. But
right. So with all that housekeeping out of the way, let's get along with this week's episode. Kev, do you want to set it up for me?
Yeah, this week's episode is about John Mitchel. Cue the intro music.
I am a true born Irish Irishman, John Mitchel is my name. When first I joined my comrades from Newrytown I came.
John Mitchel was born in 1815 in Camnish, County Londonderry. I was giving you a pause there for notes, but nothing on Londonderry.
No, I was going to leave it like that.
Fair enough.
Well, what's your preference? I would say Derry, unless
I would say Derry, and I was hoping to get a rise out of you, and I didn't.
Yeah, well, I'd usually say Derry unless I was in the presence of like a one James McClean, and I was looking to get the rise.
Yeah. The only rise you get out of him is the 1916 kind.
Ho ho! Well, it's certainly not a rise in the quality of his performance. We're in the green of Ireland.
No, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I find it crazy. The Poppy scandal comes up every year. I assumed he was one of many players that's involved in it. He's one of two.
Oh,
is
yeah,
it still only two of them.
No, so it's mainly just James McClean, like that.
Yeah, and some guy from Serbia.
Yes, it's Matic for Manchester United. Nemanja Matic.
I was at like a World War II memorial thing in New Zealand, and they had a guy there from World War II. He'd served in Turkey, and he was giving a speech. I think he was lighting a fire there at the end, and while we were listening to the speech, someone was going around with a big bag of poppies and like handing them to people, being like, just put that on there for the memorial. It's very hard to convey why I didn't want to do that, whilst also not making any sound and at a memorial for World War II. You can't really sum up like 100 years of Irish-British diplomacy in like a handshake movement. But
yeah, go, no, sorry, no, not for me.
And then she kind of gave me a weird look, and I was like, no, it's not just being a prick. There's a reason to it, but I can't get into it now. I love your country. Good war, thank you.
Well, actually, it was only last weekend that McClean, he was at the hand of sectarian abuse again while playing for Stoke City.
Yeah, so saw that. Yeah,
it's not just the weekend of the poppy. It's constantly. But anyway, we make it away from James McClean, or else we'll be at this all day.
We have.
Good.
We're one line into this.
Well, now if the Republic of Ireland national team could be as hasty in their jettison from James McClean, that would be fantastic.
Okay. Right. Well, James McClean is from Londonderry, actually, so it all comes back together. But our boy John Mitchel was a well-read and a good student. When he was 7, his family moved to Newry, so there was very little reason to bring up Londonderry at all. In school, his teacher gave out to him for reading books too advanced for his age, which discouraged young Mitchel, so he stopped paying attention in class, and then his teacher called him stupid. So
hold on,
you can't really win.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So he was reading above his reading level, I guess, his age.
Yeah.
And then they called him stupid.
He was reading above his reading level, and they told him to stop it. So then he got bored, and then they were like, "Oh, well, you're an idiot now." Okay. So what he was taken out of that school and sent to a classical school where he excelled again with encouragement. So there's some sort of lesson there about don't just call kids dumb when they try and read. But he entered Trinity at the age of 15, which, again, is earlier than you entered college. And graduated with his degree at the age of 19, which, if I remember correctly, you were just starting college at 19, were you?
I was, yeah, I was.
Yeah, He was done with it anyway, the so-called stupid boy from Newry. But, and around 1836, he went to Newry to work in a solicitor's office. When he was 21, he met Jane Verner, daughter of Captain James Verner, whose family had been involved in setting up the Orange Order. And John... Yeah, that Orange Order. And John and Jane eloped to Chester, but were caught by Jane's father and brought back, at which point Mitchel was imprisoned in Kilmainham jail. Seems like a tough sentence. I think he was just thrown in there for like a wet weekend.
Was that common back then, I wonder?
I don't know. It does seem like this guy was abusing his power as a captain. Caught some lad trying to hop off with his young daughter and threw him in jail.
But, you know, like two days in jail would probably sort a lot of society's problems.
But it didn't work for young Mitchel, though, and despite the fact that both families opposed the union, they got married. She was 15 and he was 21, but I don't think that's why they were opposed to it.
Or it could have very well been the case.
I doubt it for those times. Maybe in the 1815s. I
don't like how that time period you can just wash over it by going, nah, that wouldn't have been a problem. That's statutory rape.
That is, but maybe that was the issue.
What year is it again?
It was 1836.
I suppose, I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
But he completed his apprenticeship as a lawyer and became an attorney and started his own practice in Newry and then expanded to Banbridge, which if you don't know your geography of Down, that's a pretty big get. Banbridge and Newry were Orange constituencies, and the Orange men liked to walk to their assemblies to commemorate historic battles. During their marches, they would walk through Catholic neighbourhoods and play songs outside, which led to fighting, which led to legal cases, which led to John Mitchel, attorney at law. So
he's just profiteering off of the marches that his organisation are getting involved in.
No, actually. Hassle. Yeah, sorry, I left out the important part of that. Mitchell took a lot of the cases defending the Catholics in court against judges who were often Orange men themselves. And due to this, Orange men would march through their neighbourhoods, fuck shit up, then start fights with them. And then the Catholics would be pulled in front of courts with other Orange men who may or may not have been at the fights, so often not ruled in their favour. But Mitchell defended them in court and did some pro bono work for them, being an altogether sound man for the Catholics of Down.
Okay. I don't know if I have a problem with this yet. I'm going to wait and let this story transpire a few more minutes.
Don't be so cynical. He's doing good.
But you said he's part of setting up the Orange Order.
No, he's married. His wife's family. Yeah.
So
his wife's family who disagreed with him.
Yeah.
But he is Presbyterian himself. But after Catholic emancipation in 1829, restrictions were loosened against Catholics, and a party decided to run a Catholic for election in Newry. A lot of the members of Mitchell's congregation took active roles in the election and against the Catholic runner, but Mitchell refused to do so, earning him the nickname Papist Mitchell.
I don't think we don't have nicknames like that anymore.
No, we could bring back Papist Brennan.
I've already told you it's Chancellor Brennan.
That's true. Chancellor Brennan.
It's got a good ring to it.
It does, In 1843, Mitchell began contributing to the national newspaper, The Nation. And after publishing his book, Life of Hugh O'Neill, in 1845, he was invited to join the staff of The Nation, so he gave up his lawyer job and moved his family to Dublin. You're a journalist. Would it happen often when you're working in journalism that someone will walk in the door and say, I used to be a rich lawyer, now I just want to write for this fringe newspaper?
Yeah, sometimes people get into it. Obviously, they don't realise how much money that they're going to make or lack of money that they're going to make. But yeah, some people will get into it because they always thought they were going to have a nice career as a journalist. They've always wanted to do that. Coming from a career where you're making 35 and 40 and anything over that, if you're making €40 a year, it's going to be difficult to turn that down to become a journalist.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, some people even make it into triple and quadruple figures. But
quit your dreaming, man. But Mitchell wrote historical and contemporary pieces for The Nation and contributed some substantial pieces on the famine. After a trip to Galway during the famine, he wrote, I could see in the front of the cottages little children leaning against the fence when the sun shone out, for they could not stand, their limbs fleshless, their bodies half naked. I saw Trevelyan's claws in the vitals of those children. His red tape would draw them to death. In his government laboratory he had prepared for them the typhus poison. So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Oh yeah, but he got it wrong though. It's Trevelyan's corn.
Well, it's his claw, because he had the claw out. It's cash and claw, man. Trevelyan was going around looking for the rent. Children hanging around fleshless, and here he is with the fucking handout man. put the money in the paw, you know.
That was a pretty dark paragraph, stanza, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty bleak. It was. It's just giving me awful memories of what was that book? From Under the Hawthorn Tree, or
I don't know.
Yeah, it was that Fall Out Boy album. From Under the Hawthorn Tree. Or do you get that? Do you get that reference or that joke?
I don't. No.
To get that joke, you'd need a specific knowledge of both fiction books based around the famine in Ireland and the early workings of Fall Out Boy.
I'm sure there's probably one person that has that cross section, and hopefully they found this podcast.
Anyway, never mind. Go back to the story.
All right, back to the story. Mitchel wrote an article titled...
Actually, hold on a second, because I've got to open up my next beer. It's the beer that Russ Cole drinks, Lone Star, in the first season of True Detective.
Good. It's good to know that's a real beer.
It is. It's called the National Beer of Texas.
The National Beer of Texas. Mm-hmm. Texas, the nation.
It is to the people that live here.
Sure. Mitchell wrote an article titled "England's Difficulty is Ireland's Opportunity," which I actually meant to look into that phrase more. I don't know if he coined that term, but
that's been used. We've always used that during. Was that World War One or was it World War Two?
Yeah, World War One. World War One, anyway. But so this is back in the 18. I assume it had been around for a while, but actually I was in London last week and I went to the Imperial British War Museum, which is it's really interesting. I only got as far as World War One. They do like an entire history of World War One. It took me about 3 hours, but so you'd be 3 years into it maybe, and then you turn around a corner after reading about harrowing trench warfare and the use of gases and just how they're running out of men in the front lines and various accounts of death and misery. And you turn around a corner and it's like, the Irish have started a revolution at home. We didn't come across great.
Yeah, but
our young men are dying on the front line for freedom and democracy. Meanwhile, the cheeky boys back home have started a bit of a skirmish.
Yeah, but it's kind of it's the same as if you go to like the Hanoi Hilton. That's where John McCain would have been. Not John McClean from Die Hard. John McCain. Where he would have been held captive, and they called it the Hanoi Hilton because that's how much the prisoners loved it and loved the service that they got while they were there. And that's why you can see the photos of them. You'll see 4 emaciated men that just it's just sets of bones and nibbles, just like playing card games, smoking cigarettes, looking like the epitome of death. And then it'll just say underneath, U.S. soldiers celebrating Christmas with a fun game of cards. And you're like, oh, dude, come on, stop this.
Yes.
But it's the same prison that the French would have used. Is that right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the French used that first, multiple decades beforehand. And they would have performed some of the worst atrocities and torture techniques at the time. But then the Vietnamese would have done the exact same thing to the Americans, but just the juxtaposition between how they portray both types of torture. It's shocking, really. But like, try to see these men, like photos of them playing basketball, and they can't lift their arms and stuff. It's probably not worth bringing up on a comedy podcast.
It's relevant. It's all of this stuff is relevant to this story. Somehow I'll bring it all back together later on. But so Mitchell wrote the article, "England's Difficulty is Ireland's Opportunity." He brought up the issue of the potato disease and pointed out how hunger had been used before in revolutions. He accused the Irish government in Dublin Castle of being unable or unwilling to do anything about the famine, and advocated the attacking of railroads if they were used by the government against the people, as in to move troops or move stuff out of the country, I suppose. His train thing led to an unsuccessful suit against the paper, where Mitchell acted as his own solicitor, which is always a good move and legal advice that I would give anybody.
Is that why you've gone to jail 4 times?
I've gone to jail 4 out of a possible 6 times.
Yeah, 4 out of 6 ain't bad.
That ain't bad. I mean, it's not good, but you know.
Oh no, it's far from good, but it's getting it's getting particularly close to reasonable.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I bought I bought suspenders. I feel like that'll be the real clincher in the next one.
I know, but as I've been saying to you before, the suspenders are a great idea, but you should probably wear pants to attach them to.
Duly noted, once again. But, yeah, he was vocal about how Ireland should side with America in their dispute with England over Oregon. Do you know what that is?
It's the spice you put on pizzas.
That's oregano.
Yeah, no, Oregon's up in
Oregano?
it's in the Pacific Northwest. Am I correct?
Oh yes, yeah, I know the state, but I guess America was arguing with England over it at some point. Who knows? But Mitchell blamed the British government for the burgeoning famine happening in Ireland, citing that while the people had nothing to eat, ships full of corn reaped by the people were being shipped to England.
So he was right.
He was correct. So he resigned from the Nation newspaper, saying that a more vigorous policy was needed against the British government. So he was trying to encourage people to destroy roads and railways so that the British couldn't move crops and
crops. Do you mean
crops and troops? He was trying to incite the Irish people to destroy infrastructure, so they couldn't move trops and troops around the country.
I don't know why I find that so funny.
Those pesky British are moving the twaps and croops. It does make the whole thing sound more adorable.
It does.
He wanted to offer a passive resistance universally, but occasionally, when opportunity served, to try the steel. Okay. So, I guess, lie down in front of a tractor, and then when someone comes over to move you, stab them with a shiv.
I mean, that's well, think about it. If someone's peacefully protesting, if someone goes to interrupt that usually they're in the wrong. Unless they're doing this peaceful protest in a way that's stopping some form of public transport or, ways in which people live their lives. So I'm not saying it's okay for them to stab someone. But if you are a peaceful protester and then someone tries to physically move you, yeah, no. Stabbing is a fair thing to do, actually, in hindsight.
It's a catch-22. Once you stab them, you become an unpeaceful protester.
Yeah, but I mean, you've already done your peaceful protesting. I mean, you're probably tired enough at that stage. How many times can you say "kumbaya"?
You know what? You're right. But so he figured the nation hadn't got the chutzpah to go through with this message. So he left and started his own paper, the United Irishman, in 1848, along with Thomas Riley. There you go.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm learning loads of shit.
So him and Thomas Riley start this paper. The newspaper's motto was a wolf-tone quote: "Our independence must be had at all hazards. If the men of property will not support us, they must fall. We can support ourselves by the aid of that numerous and respectable class of the community, the men of no property." No one ever thinks about the men of no property.
Good luck finding them.
Yeah, that's... Call round to the house, nothing there. So the first edition of the United Irishman was released in February of 1848 and called out, Lord Clarendon was Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Ireland. But in the United Irishman, Mitchell called him Her Majesty's Executioner General and General Butcher of Ireland.
General Butcher?
Yes.
Huh.
General in there twice, I guess, so not great in terms of flow, but,
Fair. Not a big fan.
No. You probably would have just said, Lord Clarendon, more like cunt.
No. Give me some credit. Lord Cunt.
Satire. The
high quality comedy.
Yeah. The newspaper advocated resistance in the form of not paying rent and stopping food shipments, and claimed the British purposely mismanaged the potato famine to reduce the population to a more manageable figure.
Again, speaking the truth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You might not find it in their museum. Or did they mention that at any point, Kevin, when you were over there?
They did not.
I wonder why.
I don't know. There was no mention of...
Probably just not enough time. To be fair, in Vietnam, the Americans actually pay for part of the war museums to give a fair account of what the American soldiers did to the Vietnamese.
Oh, yeah?
Which is pretty cool. to show like, oh yeah, also there was a lot of fucked up shit on our side. We did this, so, which is like it's a nice omission.
It is, yeah. Fair play to them. I think the Vietnam War was a good idea.
I don't know about that, but they do have McDonald's now,
so it all worked out in the end. The doctrine for the United Irishman was that every man who paid taxes should have an equal voice with every other man in the government of the state, that every free man and every man who desired to become free ought to have arms and to practice the use of them. Presumably he meant guns, as opposed to hands. I'm not sure what his hands policy was.
Wait.
Probably pro.
Those are fake arms.
What sort of a ludicrous situation. But so here we have Mitchell's new newspaper.
Oh wait, before that, did I tell you that the Bray Comedy Festival incorrectly tagged me as like one of their headliners?
Oh no,
because
of
Jason. Yeah, Jason Byrne.
Yeah.
There's been numerous occasions I've been called up on stage, and it's fine when it's smaller gigs because you're like, you laugh it away. You're like, okay, it's a room full of like 20, 30 people. When it is a nice sized room and you've got like 70 people or so, and it's like, hey, here comes Jason Brennan, but it's Jason Byrne, and then you actually get to see the faces light up on some people's face, and then it slowly changed to like, oh no, it's not. Someone's just made a mistake. Which is kind of shit for me, but it's also worse because then I have to look at all these people and think, for fuck's sake, I'm now playing a gig to people that enjoy Jason Byrne.
Yeah.
That's a fucking rough one.
That's a rough crowd. What's the connection there? Or was he's in that episode with the fake arms?
Yeah, he's the guy who says it.
Yes. Well, now young Mitchell here in his United Irishman, so he's just started the paper. He's called for the Irish people to take up arms, practice using them to stop British soldiers and try and just cause as much trouble as possible. The newspaper lasted for 16 editions before Mitchell was arrested.
That's quite a lot, right? 16 editions?
It is. We've managed. This will be 20 editions now.
Oh, you're right. We've bested him.
We have, yeah, and we haven't been arrested yet.
Also, how many podcast episodes did Christ have?
That's a good question, Jason. I think it's
I'd say it's fucking 0, Kevin.
I'd say it's fuck all, to be honest. This seems like a good point to make. I was home this morning, and I don't know how this happened, but at some stage someone put up a giant sign that says, "Repent, the Lord is coming," like on a telephone pole at the gate of my parents' house. But
I thought you meant in Dundalk Town.
No, it's right outside my house. And there's...
Hey, listen, maybe that person knows some stuff about your parents.
Maybe, but there's a few of them on the street because you can see them, but the rest of them are they're not as... This one is really obvious.
Maybe it's just an elderly man who's really against electronic lawnmowers.
Well, maybe.
Kevin's house has a lawnmower that's like a Roomba for your house to clean dust, only it cuts the grass.
It's...
If you believe such a thing. If you believe that people could get to the height of laziness like that. And I know your dad listens to this. It's ridiculous.
It's perfectly reasonable. We have a lot of grass, and now we have a robot butler that eats it for us.
Never
if you
mind
find anything bizarre
forget
about
the robot
that
butler.
sentence.
Tell your parents to have more children, and then another generation. They should have spaced them out 5 years at a time. So then you'd always have someone else young to cut the grass.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, we'll have to rely on the robot until eventually it decides that the quickest way to cut grass is to blow up the sun. But so Mitchell's a pretty big deal now. In April, British satirical Punch magazine had a cartoon of him standing up to British lying, saying, "One of us must be put down." Mitchell was depicted as a monkey with a stick, which I think I've mentioned before. That's one of my favorite things.
The political cartoons representing people as animals.
Yeah, just I have a picture of the cartoon. I'll post it up on the Instagram. For extra points, the stick should have been labeled like Irish nationalism or something. But it'll do.
That is, I like how that in the old school cartoons, just it's no subtext whatsoever.
Yeah.
They will write that on everything is labeled.
It's perfect. But So he was charged with sedition on the 15th of April, along with William O'Brien and your friend Francis Meagher.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just tell people now in advance there's going to be an episode about him next season.
Yes.
If you're from Montana, if anyone cares about the northern part of America, North America, we'll be doing all of that.
Yeah, O'Brien and Meagher had their trials first, and they were both let off by juries of their peers. But Mitchell's trial was delayed, and in the delay, the government passed the Treason Felony Act of 1848, which changed the penalty from sedition from brief imprisonment to transportation for life. So, on the 13th of May, Mitchell was charged with 2 counts of this new felony that they just made up.
I like it.
Yeah, so they changed. So I think originally, yes, he was charged with sedition, and then they changed the charge like a month later because the other 2 lads got off. So
but also, the charge changes in terms of severity. It goes from what now?
It goes from
a brief imprisonment to
transportation for life. You're out of here.
You're just like, I imagine that's a boat then.
Oh yeah.
It's not some like early 1800s version of like Speed. The movie, not the drug.
It is, yeah. You just get put in a boat and the boat has to go around Ireland for the rest of your natural life. But so he's arrested then. So he keeps writing from prison and released an open letter to the Crown asking if they'd stack the jury against him by bringing in 12 lords as opposed to his peers. He goaded them saying that they had to do that if they wanted to keep some semblance of government in Ireland, because if they gave him a fair jury, he'd walk and he'd do it all again. So I don't really know I don't know what he's going for here.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, I do it all again. I refuse to apologize. Just no. And I'll tell you what. Once more, I'd fucking do it again. Just double down. Just double down.
Yeah. He's kind of put them in a corner. He's like, you have to cheat. You have to stack the jury, or I'm going to do it all again. But the trial took place on the 20th of May, and according to a quote from Mitchell's lawyer, one Robert Holmes, the foreman of the grand jury had said, having been asked if the jury had found bills against the prisoner, "Oh yes, we found him guilty of sedition." Holmes said, "Gentlemen, he is not indicted for sedition." "Well, we find him guilty of treason." "But gentlemen," again interrupted the officer, "the charge against Mr. Mitchell is felony." "Oh, no matter," said the foreman. "Sedition, treason, or felony, it's all the same to us." Shockingly, he was found guilty.
It's all the same to us. I mean,
well, whatever it is he done, he's guilty.
You've gotta respect that level of turning a blind eye. Like,
sure.
They're not even looking to hide it in the court reports. There's going to be is the term stenographer? Is that what it is?
Well, no.
Stenographer.
This was a story told by Mitchell's lawyer. So, maybe not 100% factual, but for the reasons of this podcast, we're going to say yes, 100% happened. Also, it seems like he stopped defending himself, which, to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed in.
Yeah, but maybe it became a case of like, oh shit, they're actually going to this is a proper crime. I'm gonna
Fair
go
enough,
down.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah, maybe for all the slap on the wrist stuff, he's like, I've got this, I can take this, and then be like, oh, actual time in jail? No, thank you.
Transportation for life. It's not some sort of speed situation. I actually get deported. Okay, you take this one.
I love traveling. Fantastic. Give me double it. Two lives.
So the sentence was passed down by Judge Baron Lefroy, who decided that even though the sentence should be exile for life, because this was the first case tried under the new law, he let him off with 14 years in a penal colony, which is, that was decent.
Do you think that there was a certain amount of nepotism in how he got his job as the judge? It was jobs for the boys.
Yeah, maybe it was jobs for Lefroy's.
Lefroy's.
Yeah.
Don't just brush over that like I didn't just. That's the best joke I'm going to make for this whole episode.
That is perfect. Jobs for Lefroy's. So Mitchell made this whole speech after he was sentenced. During it, he said, "I have shown what the law is made of in Ireland. I have shown that Her Majesty's government sustains itself in Ireland by packed juries and partisan judges by perjured sheriffs." And then he pointed out that he had called them out earlier on that they were going to pack the jury. So either way, he was going to win. After his sentence, he got
it's such a bullshit move, though. that's like the equivalent of a boxer saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go fight that dude in his country, so unless I knock him out, I'm never gonna win on the scorecards." That's the equivalent of that guy going to jail, going to court saying, "Well, they're gonna fuck me over, so I'm not gonna win," and then you lose anyway. You're like, yeah, but maybe that's just the way it was meant to be because you were guilty.
Well, yeah, because he was guilty, in fairness.
Yeah, like it is a new crime, but also I don't think they had to stack the jury because they just based a crime, like the new law, around what you've specifically done. Like if it was if your name is John Mitchell specifically on this date, you're going to jail. Like they could have.
They're going to stack the damn juries. I won't get a fair trial.
Yeah. It's like, dude, he's well out of his depth.
Yeah.
Like he thinks that the jury being stacked is the reason that he's going to jail.
Well, now I'm reading this as if it is like post an MMA fight. But 3 months ago, I promised Lord Clarendon and his government in this country that I would provoke him into his courts of justice, as places of his kind are called, and that I would force him publicly and notoriously to pack a jury against me to convict me, or else I would walk out a free man from this docks to meet him in any other field.
Woo!
So that's it. Yeah, you get sentenced under this new law, the first person to have done so, and exiled out the country. He's deported to Ireland Island in Bermuda.
What?
Yeah, apparently there's an island in Bermuda called Ireland.
Okay,
but there was at the
time. You can't just slip that by and be like, "Oh yeah, there's an island in Bermuda called Ireland."
Yeah,
is like near the triangle, or what's the deal with this?
It might be in the center of the triangle. I didn't look that much into.
Don't fucking put that bad juju on us. Everyone's going to be blaming us for I don't know who's a famous person that died in the Bermuda Triangle.
I don't know. Is there anything that's? I thought that was all just like people lost at sea in the Caribbean. It was probably those damn pirates.
Was it? I suppose but we've already gotten the. We can't be dealing with any more large vehicles being destroyed in large bodies of water, considering that we already have the Titanic on our hands as a country. We shouldn't probably put our name towards an island in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle.
The Titanic and the Lusitania, both our fault.
Shite. We're not great at that. We take a lot of pride in the fact that they came from Ireland, but like
but they both left Cork. Cove was the last place the Titanic saw. Lusitania is torpedoed off the coast of Cork.
A sinking ship that's going to cost thousands of people irreparable harm.
Sure, but also might have been smuggling weapons.
That as well.
But I think, and maybe this is where the Shite talk bit comes in, but I'm pretty sure at the time it was like it was full of American tourists, but the Germans said it was a fine target because there was weapons on board, and the Americans said no, there wasn't. But then I think in later years it turned out that there was, and possibly the IRA tried to go down to the ship to get the weapons at some point. Now, a lot of what I just said there might be unsubstantiated, but I like it.
I like it, and also I'm willing to say it probably did happen.
Sure, but
the IRA loves guns so much that like it doesn't matter where they are, they'll find them. Like they'll be willing to. You know well that if they were told, "Hey, look, there's 3 crates of guns down at the bottom of the Titanic," it will take 6 months of training to get someone ready to go get them. Like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll find someone. It's like Johnny loves to swim. Like you'll find a way.
Just in the pool with a balaclava jumping down to the bottom to pick up a brick. We're getting real good at now, Mick. We should be able to ready for the Lusitania any day now.
Now you're sucking diesel.
Look, just go through the hoops there. Now today the boys are going to jump in their pajamas.
Sucking diesel, just not drinking water. That's the IRA divers motto.
We lost a lot of good men. And now this.
Yeah.
Another muck up for the lads. But so apparently, well, it said, I read accounts where it said he was treated with respect, but also he was kept in solitary confinement. So maybe he was respected so much that no one talked to him. At this stage, he begins writing his memoirs, which would go on to form his book, Jail Journal, a book which Padraig Pearse would later call the last of the 4 Gospels of the New Testament of Irish nationality, the last and the fieriest and the most sublime.
Jesus.
Pretty good book review.
Yeah, but that's just Pierce, you know, like most modern literary reviewers. He's just trying to get his name on the blurb, just trying to get his name on the front of the book.
Well, yeah, if he said it was the second of the 4 Bibles, probably the blandest, trails off a bit during the middle, not a great ending, 4 out of 5.
Yeah, or if he said, oh, it's a shame because you would have had 3, and this one's kind of like the 5th Beatle. It's just kind of like it's there at the end, but it's not quite canon.
Yeah.
But in the actual version of reality in which we live, it got a great review, so it's done very well. You can find it at all Barnes and Noble, Amazon. Where else can you buy books these days?
Probably a library. I think it's a pretty big text in terms of
a what
Irish
now?
nationalism. A big text.
No, library.
A Laurelon, I don't know. I moved into a new house there the other day.
La Bibliothèque?
I live across from a bibliothèque now. So all future podcasts will be researched from whatever I can find in the library. That's it. I'm not buying anything else anymore. So this next bit of the story is actually how I initially heard about this story. I was going to do it about just this guy and then spiraled. But so around about this time, British Colonel Earl Henry Grey, son of Mr. Teabag himself, he wants to start sending criminals to South Africa. So
wait. Say that again? You're about to tell me that there's a man called Teabag.
No, as in...
No, I'm going to make an ill-timed Prison Break reference.
Oh, I think we've probably talked about Prison Break more than any other podcast in 2019.
And there might be a Prison Break podcast.
Yeah, and I'd say we probably still out-talk them about it. Such
as the dearth of listenership or viewers for a very average TV show in the mid-2000s.
Sure. But no, this is the Earl Grey fella, the guy who invented the tea bag. This is his son.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, presumably he didn't invent the tea bag. I'm not entirely sure what. I'm sure he just started stealing it from China or something. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, this is his son, Earl Grey Jr. But so 1847 is the worst year of the famine, which means all of a sudden there's a lot of people guilty of the crime of having no food. So they figured they'll just ship a load of them out to South Africa. They'll build the place and then they'll be allowed to live there afterwards. But they're not too happy with the plan in Cape Town, and they kick up a fuss. So in May of 1849, they form an anti-convict association, and there's a 5,000 strong petition signed to keep all the convicts out.
Did you say anti-conflict or anti-convict?
Anti-convict, and therefore pro-conflict, I think. They do not want them in there, and they are willing to fight for it. But Earl Grey, he don't care, and he sends the ships out
I don't want
anyway.
any convicts in my town, and I'm willing to go to jail for it.
We don't want them to ruin this place. Let's go beat the shit out of these strangers. So Earl Grey sends his ship over anyway, Neptune III, which has 300 convicts on it, heading from Bermuda to South Africa. One of them is our boy John Mitchel. So in September, the ship arrives at Simon's Bay in Cape Town with 282 prisoners, because 18 of them died at sea, and 55 crew. Oh. And they begin a standoff. They were all made to stay, so they're docked offshore, so they can see the shore, but they can't actually get off the boat or get on.
You're going to say, wait, a Bermuda standoff?
What? Yeah, maybe. This is before the famous Mexican variation.
Yeah, they stole it.
Yeah, this is the South Africa's own twist on it.
Oh, sorry, I've forgotten. I've forgotten that we're in South Africa and not Bermuda now.
Yes. Oh, this story takes place over 4 continents.
A South African standoff. SAS.
Yeah, the SAS. Yes, the original. But so they're stuck out at sea after a long voyage from Bermuda, and in steps a Mayo man by the name of Robert Stanford, who came from Ballina Stanford. He was a big landowner in South Africa who was originally against the blockade, but in an attempt to hold off a civil revolt, he relented and began running supplies out to the ship to sustain them. So he's rowing a boat with some other guys out to bring food to the prisoners and the crew, but his actions turned the people of Cape Town against him and his family. They were pelted with eggs, his children were expelled from school, and him and his family refused medicine, which resulted in the death of one of his children. So not good.
No, that's I didn't think. Were you leaving a pause there so I could say not good?
Yeah, because I thought that maybe the death of this man's child.
Yeah,
no, he's just trying to do the right thing, and you maybe would have thought.
I thought it was going to go without saying, as in I wouldn't need to have mentioned the fact that, of course, I think that that's a bad thing. But then the second that you left that pause and then jumped in on top of it with, which isn't good. After that pause, I was like, well, fuck you then. Like everyone's going to think that I'm on board with this.
Well, listen, we'll just we'll let the tape show what it shows, But so after 5 months being stuck in the bay, in February of 1850, the Earl Grey gave up and ordered the ship to continue to Tasmania, or Van Diemen's Land as the Europeans called it at the time.
Did we?
Well, we didn't, but someone did. Yeah, they renamed it back to Tasmania in 1856.
Van Diemen's Land?
Yeah, but not demon as in demon. Just some guy called Van Diemen.
Like Vin Diesel.
Exactly, I think it was Vin Diesel's dad.
If Vin Diesel was to do the voice of a live action... Vin Diesel should just do a live action Tasmanian Devil.
I think so. I think we should try and get a petition. I think we have that sort of clout now. We'll petition that.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We can't get a sponsor, but I'm pretty sure we can get a Hollywood movie funded.
I think so. So they find out this news. There's a dispatch from the Earl, and it's read to them while they're still docked on the boat. And it says, in compensation for the hardship of the voyage and detention, he graciously extends to all prisoners Her Majesty's conditional pardon.
Oh!
Yeah, everyone except prisoner Mitchell. So, a good day for the boys.
That's such a pointed... It's obviously they've been like, okay, what we really do to fuck with him is... Because that's how they revealed the news as well.
They probably had him read it as well.
Yeah, and didn't let him get a chance to actually have a look at it before he had to say it to everyone else. Yeah. So everyone got to see his face break at the time.
Everyone except this dick. So just to go back to the Stanford guy, the South Africa or the Mayo man who was in South Africa, in August of that year, Stanford is knighted for his services and gets $5,000. And in 1858, he publishes a book called Loyalty and Its Reward. Which obviously gave mixed reviews on Cape Town.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, he was just doing his job. He was being loyal, and they killed his kid, basically.
Yeah, you're not going to come away with a glowing review.
No. Although, actually, I haven't read the book. Maybe it's Loyalty and Its Rewards. I got $5,000, baby! Everything's cool.
Dana, 5 G's, baby!
5 biggins. But, so, yeah, the last point in that guy is the town of Stanford in South Africa is named after him. So apparently that was that was the first time they tried to bring prisoners to South Africa, and that's one of the main reasons why there wasn't as much emigration there like there was to the other British colonies. There wasn't much Irish diaspora there,
Oh, okay, fair enough. Because every time they went there, they just let you off.
Yeah. Well, so I guess they were there for like a couple of months. Presumably they'd been sentenced to several years, and the prison probably wasn't much better than the boat, but they got let off. So, I don't know. Everyone except Mitchell. That's the important part. So that's the end of part 1 of John Mitchell. So far, he's a sound man, national hero.
Well,
yeah, tomorrow we'll be putting up part 2.
You listeners have some audio gold coming up.
I think I'll stick up. I have a couple of pictures of various statues, and I'm going to stick up a picture of that cartoon because that's what I love. That's my jam. Monkey cartoons. And just, if you could download the episode instead of or as well as streaming it, that'd give us a hand to try and figure out some listening stats, so we can use our listening stats to get people to give us sponsorship.
Money is what we're looking for. We could actually turn this into a weekly podcast instead of like twice a year we sit down in cramped spaces and record 10 episodes at once.
Yes. I have currently got a load of equipment that I borrowed from Silent Dan. Maybe one day we could buy our own equipment.
And I've currently got a load of equipment that I've stolen from Kevin after he borrowed it from Silent Dan. I'd like to have to pay that back.
Don't let Dan know that. Now it's all committed to tape.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.